You want more on the Avs? You got it.
Honestly, does it really matter right now?
That's the problem, right?
No, just about anybody can get in front of a microphone and talk about hockey. How on earth do you get involved in something like this?
It was kind of a fluke.
It's funny that this podcast is going off the rails so quickly.
This is From the Cheap Seats, an Avalanche fan podcast from 9 News. Seated in a conference room, here are your hosts, Steve Staeger and Geoff Sawtell.
Oh, and what a comfortable conference room it is.
Luxurious.
It's just great.
It's the Hilton of conference rooms.
Before we get to the outset of this thing, I probably should apologize for the fact that I sound pretty awful right now. I'm on day 4 of a cold. So I guess it was so bad that this morning Facebook actually advertised Lysol to me, and I'm assuming it just heard me cough or something like that. Well,
it could be worse. It could be advertising like a lung specialty hospital.
That's true. Yeah, it apparently knows my condition is okay, and perhaps I could take that as a good sign.
But you're not going to die.
Yeah. Welcome to From the Cheap Seats. Steve Staeger, Geoff Sawtell here with you. I'm Steve Staeger, by the way. Oh, you know what? You can hear the audio from that. I'm Steve Staeger, at Steve Staeger on Twitter. He's Geoff Sawtell, at fake_Dante on Twitter. Lots to get to today, and we're going to chat with our first fan of the podcast is coming in. You may know them if you hang out at Pepsi Center as the folks who have Fatheads of the players. They're going to be bringing their Fatheads in, and we'll chat with Taylor and I believe Sarah coming up in just a little bit here. But we want to get back into what has been dominating the news cycle, it seems like, over the past few weeks with the Avalanche, and that is this altitude deal.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, and I figured we wanted to bring in somebody to give us some perspective. So let's give Kyle Keefe a call. Does that sound all right?
He might have some idea what he's talking about.
He might know what he's talking about. Let's give him a call. Hey, the phone works. That's good.
Step one.
Hello.
Kyle Keefe, Steve Staeger, how are you?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Good. You're on the air right now, just so you know. Well, on the fake air. We're recording, so you can go ahead and cuss and say whatever you want to say. We'll cut it out later.
Oh, good. You got the beep button ready to go?
Got it ready to go. It sounds like you are in the middle of a downpour right now.
Yeah, it's not really the rain that bothers me so much, but the lightning, I'm not kidding, has been in 10 feet of the school. And I'm just sitting over here forcing my daughter to make her way to me because I'm not getting out to go get her.
So you're like AC/DC right now. You're telling her to ride the lightning.
Yeah.
Get through it.
Ride it out, baby.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, let's talk about this whole deal. By the way, thank you for joining us. This is our 4th episode, so to get someone of your profile on this show this quickly is pretty impressive.
Oh, yeah. Well, the ratings just went straight downhill. So
Let's talk about what's going on with altitude right now. Now it's blacked out across the board. No one can see altitude right now. Is that correct?
Well, if you have a couple of the other – whoa. Mama, see that? Sorry, that was lightning.
Oh, you're good.
If I die, if this is at least there'll be a recording of my death. So
yeah, exactly. We can use it in court or something, right?
Right, there you go. If you have CenturyLink or Bresnan, there's a few other small, that are around. You still have altitude, but with Dish, Direct, and Comcast, they blacked it out everywhere in the 10-state region, and you can't even get. You can't even get NHL Center Ice or the NBA League Pass. So I tweeted out the other day. I was like, if you think you're going to a bar on October 3rd to watch the Avs, you're mistaken.
Yeah, because these bars use the same service that all the rest of us do.
Right. So I went to training camp this morning for the rookies, and then some of the older guys were skating too. And I mean, that's the hot topic. Is my God, are we really going to miss out on hockey and basketball? And I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I sure hope they get a deal done. I don't think that altitude is asking anything that's not normal. I mean, they've given these same deals to the Utah Jazz and the Vegas Golden Knights, and for whatever reason, they're having issues with us, and it sucks, man.
What can you break it down for somebody who may not be as invested in it as the rest of us are in TV? What does this all boil down to?
I mean, in my opinion, it's just, it's like two kids fighting it out on the street over something that's really silly. Like I said, altitude's not asking for any more money than they've had the last 15 years. So it's just I think it's unfair to the fans. I mean, personally, I mean, it'll affect me. It'll affect Riker, and Miles, and Peter McNabb, Mosier, and there's a lot of hardworking people that this affects, and it's just it's a bad deal, and it happened to be at all three at the same time.
Yeah. We've seen these before. I mean, they've done this to Channel 9. They've done this to other companies that with regular networks. We usually see it resolved relatively quickly. Do you feel like this is going to get resolved soon?
Well, I mean, Steve, I hope it does, but I feel like these things can really come down to the wire, and unfortunately, we need the fans to make the push. I mean, that's why there's so much on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Is we need voices. We need people to say, hey, the whole hashtag don't block my Avs or don't block my Nuggets. It really comes down to putting it on the fans to say, look, you got to call your cable provider and tell them not to tier us. We're not Sunday NFL Ticket. We're not the NFL Red Zone. These are local fans that want to watch their local team. So it boils down to just people saying, hey, this is espionage. It's unfair. It'd be one thing if we were asking for the moon, but we're not.
And these are, both the Nuggets and the Avs. I mean, these are some young, talented, fun to watch teams. You would hope that the fan base could rally behind that, if nothing else.
Right. I mean, think about that. I mean, the Avs have the fourth best odds to win the Stanley Cup. They're 10-1 right now in the NHL. 10-1 to win the Cup, and it's you got McKinnon, and now you got Kadri and Rantanen and Landeskog and Cale Makar and Sam Girard. I mean, this is like the most excited that I've been for a hockey season in 10 years, and I think that's the frustrating part, is that the demand is so high. Season ticket sales are through the roof, and everybody loves the Nuggets. I mean, how deep can they go in the West now? And this couldn't happen at a worse time, and it's just that's what makes it so frustrating. If you're a well, I hate to say Cleveland Brown because they're good now. But,
Detroit
back
Lions.
in the old days,
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, now it's like, it's just, I don't know. It's like waking up hungover. It's just like, oh, well, what am I going to do today? It's bad.
Go ahead and yell at me, because I'm one of those people who wonders why a streaming option here wouldn't work. And I know that there's a good, sane explanation of why it wouldn't work.
Yeah, I don't really understand a lot of the optics of it. I just know that it's not. I don't think you can sustain. You can't be, financially positive on just streaming alone. So that will be obviously something that everyone will have to look at down the road. But right now, for whatever reason, I don't understand that stuff. First of all, they just make me talk. So when they say
Same with me. Yeah.
Right, I'm just like, the next question.
Let me know, by the way, if you want me to go upstairs and see if I can work out a deal to get you guys on broadcast TV.
Please do.
We'll see what we can do. So what are you excited for, speaking of the season, if you guys are on the air? What's the most exciting thing you're looking forward to?
Well, I love that you guys, I mean, Steve, you're a huge hockey fan. I know that. I follow you. And, for me personally, it's just that. I mean, first and foremost, I'm a fan. I love the game of hockey, and I love this team. I've been there 23 years. It's the only job I've ever had. And I think, especially us three dorks in the studio, they're both the other two, they've been in the league for, a lot of years and have played for a lot of different teams. But, when we get in there, we have fun, man. I mean, it doesn't even feel like work, win or loss. It just feels fun because the team's exciting. We've got good chemistry in there. So for me personally, I look forward to just the action, the live TV and not being afraid to screw up. And, it's just the naturalness of it. And I think, fans have sort of, jumped on board with us and just said, hey, these guys are fun to watch because they talk like us, they think like us. So it's a good relationship, I think, that we have with the fan base, and we all are cheering for the same thing, is to raise the Holy Grail.
Yeah. I was right there with you, by the way, at the end of the season last year. I think a lot of fans were just waiting for that explanation. Yeah. What the hell was that?
Well, think about it this way. This is all I was asking the league, who basically
not responded. No. Yeah.
No. So on the ice, it's called a goal, right?
Right.
It's a goal on the ice. So you have to have irrefutable evidence to overturn that, which in the playoffs, you've got a lot of different camera angles and a lot of POV cams, and you got 3 different angles of the blue line, and there was never any video that showed Landeskog with his skate not on the blue line. And so my whole thing was, if you're going to overturn a goal, you've got to be able to provide video proof that you've got the right to do that.
It's got to be irrefutable. Yeah.
Right. And if the Avs, if they score there, it's 2-2, and now San Jose has to take a 2-minute minor for challenging a call. So we have the game and we go on the power play. I mean, we could be playing the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah. Yeah, and who knows where that goes? They go on to win the Stanley Cup. I don't know. And would they have if they hadn't been motivated enough by the BS hand pass that we saw in that series? Who knows? It could have been anybody's series at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of sort of the energy that you feel right now is, I think a lot of fans, I think front office, the team, everybody believes that we were right there. I mean, it was right there. The way that they just manhandled Calgary, I didn't expect that. And, to fight back against San Jose, I think they're right there. And I think in the West, everyone's like, what? They take a look at that blue line. They're like, okay, so the next 15 years will be pretty good in Colorado.
We were talking about some of the rules changes in a couple of episodes ago, and I was really surprised to see that there wasn't something addressed in the rules that had to do with that.
What you mean with the?
With the blue line, the delayed offside call. Then again, I guess I don't know what they would be able to change to make that more equitable and fair down the road. But
first, I think if they were going to change anything, I think you have to look in the mirror and say, you know what, we screwed up that call. Whoever's in Toronto that's saying no goal, you got to get that right. I mean, if you're going to take that kind of time and review something, you at least have to have video proof to show the fan base or anybody that loves the game of hockey that you made the right call.
Yeah.
Like Quincy.
Yeah. Hey, I gotta let you go because you gotta get your daughter home. I know. But before I let you go, I've been told to ask you for an embarrassing Tom Green story, by people in the newsroom. Do you have one on the top of your head?
Well, he just recently, Tom was a waiter at a charity fundraiser. I don't know if you guys remember this, but you get to make them put on certain outfits and then they have to wait at your table. And, Tom, I didn't have to ask him to wear things. I mean, he just came out in dresses. I mean,
he was just there. That was what he was coming in anyway.
Yeah. I mean, he could have been a baker or he could have been a policeman, but every time that he came out, he was in some short skirt.
So
I just couldn't figure out.
You're saying he's got a Village People vibe going on or something like that?
I think he feels sexy in boots. That's all I'm going to say.
All right, Kiefer. Kiefer, I appreciate the time, man. We got to have you in on the show for real at some point.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate it. I want you to ask Quincy who her favorite Avalanche player is. Go ahead.
Quincy, who's your favorite Avs player?
Gabe who? Yeah, Gabe Landeskog. We went out to dinner with him last year, and he kissed Quincy, and it's been over ever since then.
Man, he is a lady killer. Let me tell you, my fiance, that is her hall pass, basically, is Gabe Landeskog.
Gave her the green light, huh?
She's warm. Well, no, I mean, she basically told me that that's the option. If she's gonna marry me, I have to accept that fact. So.
Well, hey, buddy, I'll just tell you, you got good hair, but it ain't that good.
Oh no, it'll never be be that good. I just hope I can keep it so I have some longevity in this industry, but who knows?
Right.
All right.
Try being me.
Kiefer, you're the man. We'll talk to you as the season goes on.
Okay, boys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks a lot, dude.
Thank you.
Take it easy.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
See you, bye.
What a great guy.
That is dedication to hockey, to do the interview while picking your kid up.
Yeah, and to get her involved in the interview.
Right.
Quincy rocks. We hope he gets back on TV at some point soon.
Yeah, I mean,
you got to think that this thing's going to get resolved.
Every
soon.
show, and we've talked about this, we keep saying, these things, they come up, every station deals with it, they'll work it out. This one's dragging on. The fact that they've come off the air on those 3 providers is concerning, but yeah, you have to think before the season gets going that they'll work something out. They have to.
You got to think that maybe it'll take the final straw of maybe opening night not being on TV and people not having the ability to watch the Avs play the Calgary Flames on October 3rd for them to put enough pressure on the cable companies, because maybe people aren't necessarily getting on Twitter right now. Maybe they're not getting on Facebook and seeing that all this is out there. But you wonder if that'll apply enough pressure once the season actually gets started.
Just based on whenever there's a glitch in the transmission, the number of calls we get, and we have nothing to do with actually airing the games, people are going to reach out then.
Once again, and I'll make the argument that I think that the days of doing this on cable, I don't know. Are they numbered? And I know so many people are going to hammer me from the industry, are going to hammer me for that and basically say they're going to lose so much revenue. I think you can make up the revenue if you do it in a way that's over the air, AKA, I don't know, 9.2, 9.3, 9.4. You do it over the air, and then you also have a streaming option that people have to subscribe to. I think you can make up the revenue that way, and you make the game accessible to a whole lot more people.
Josh Kroenke, feel free to email us.
Yeah.
Cheapseats at 9news.com. We'll put you in touch with our sales guys.
Is Josh handling that thing, or is it Stan?
Stan, I think, had to sell off when he bought the LA Rams.
Oh, nice. One more quick thing I wanted to mention before we take a break and bring in our guests here in a few minutes. There was a report. Let me see if I can find it on Twitter here from Emily Kaplan, who's an NHL writer. I think she writes for ESPN. She says, I've been asking NHL players what their biggest impulse purchase has been over the last 12 months. Colorado Avalanche rookie Cale Makar's answer was so pure. Here's the direct quote. It says, the other day I was driving and I stopped to buy myself a Slurpee. I wouldn't usually do that. Does that tell you the youth of this kid?
Not just definitely the youth of it, but I mean, you hear so many NFL, NBA. I mean, the amount of money that gets thrown at rookies when they first sign, and you hear all these stories about went out and bought a house and a sports car, and he's like, I got a Slurpee.
Bought a Slurpee.
And hey, I can splurge now.
Well, he's probably thinking too, it's off season. He's probably training crazy left and right to get ready for the actual season.
3 days worth of calories there.
And it was funny because as I was going through the responses to it, let me see if I can find it. Oh, here. This is a guy named Jock. He commented, he said, fun fact, I saw Cale Makar walking around Market Mall in Calgary this summer wearing head-to-toe UMass swag. Perfect opportunity to stick it to Flames fans by rocking all Avs gear, but dude took the high road. And he was respected for that. I think this kid's going to get respected all across the league. He seems like a really nice guy, really humble for who he is, for all the talk that's been happening around him. I think he's gonna be fun to watch this season.
Definitely. And I know something that the Avs in particular, but I think hockey in general has been good at is mentoring young players. I know, I think it was Alex Tanguay lived with Patrick Roy during his rookie season. Just so you can learn the game, you can learn how to be a hockey player without having to worry about all the financial things and finding a house, running your own stuff. And I hope they're still doing some form of that because it lets a guy like Makar just be himself. Yeah. And learn this is how I can be a hockey player without worrying about budgeting for Slurpees.
Yeah. I was going to say, I was trying to think to my impulse, and sometimes it's stopping at McDonald's and grabbing a 10-piece on my way home from the late shows here after I'm done anchoring at 10:30, sit at my desk for about a half an hour, and then I roll out the door and I'm like, stop and grab the 10-piece before I head home. And then I feel like trash to the point where I throw it out. I sit in the parking lot and eat it in the parking lot and then throw it away so there's no evidence of it left behind. And no one will notice, a.k.a. the fiance, that I was eating McNuggets at 10 or at midnight. I don't know. That's my biggest
Some people
secret.
go out and sneak a cigarette and then pop some breath mints. You eat some
For
nuggets
me,
and then
I
pop
eat
some
nuggets
breath
and then I get into a nice nugget sweat when I get home. It's wonderful. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We're going to chat with two of the most diehard fans I've seen of the Colorado Avalanche.
And if you've been to the game more than 5 minutes before it starts, you've seen them too.
You have absolutely seen them too. You're not going to believe what they have done for Tyson Barrie. We'll talk to them next.
In one trendy Denver neighborhood, right next to a golf course, we find an old home almost hidden in plain sight.
He's been missing for more than a year.
Inside, a 69-year-old man
Basically disappeared.
so removed from life and people, nobody knew he vanished.
Well, there's no way he was there when we searched him.
Unsanitary conditions hindered their investigation. More after the coroner's report.
Who's to blame? How does a man become
He was found in his own home.
lost at home? Check out the entire second season of Blame wherever you listen to podcasts.
Look no further than the front row of Pepsi Center.
It's hard not to get up for a game when your crowd's like that.
60 minutes before the team introductions, the once clear glass gets splattered with posters and pictures.
I bring a sign every game. I've only missed like 4 home games this season, and it's just fun. I have fun making them. They really like them. I mean, it's fun to kind of figure out something creative that nobody's thought of before.
It doesn't matter if it's a vet or rookie. There's no question Colorado is feeling the love.
We printed them like 2 hours after he signed his contract, so there's the other one over on the other side too. So we were jumping right on it. We're like, it says NHL debut during a playoff game. Like, we already had a couple of them, so we just decided to add Makar to it.
How about that? And you guys actually brought all of those Fatheads with you today. Taylor and Adrian are joining us, and pardon me for reconnecting some things here to make sure that our audio sounds good. This is behind the scenes crap that should never happen live on this thing, but what the heck. Hi guys, welcome.
Hey, what's up?
Taylor is on this mic.
Yep.
Adrian, you're on that mic. Can we hear you?
Nope.
Well, I heard you just fine. Thank you guys for coming in. We appreciate it.
We're happy to be here. We're excited about it.
Yeah, this is awesome. And you told me you actually listened to the podcast, which
I
is
do. I've listened to both the episodes so far. Was there two?
two, or well, three.
Three.
But yeah, the
I've
second
listened to
one.
all of them. I listened to all of them.
Hey, we believe you. It's all good. So you guys brought along all of the Fatheads. So for the people who are listening to this and wondering who you might be, anybody who gets to the games early and sees the warm-ups, that would be your time to shine, right?
Yeah, that's us.
You guys are front and center. Who did you bring along with you? Got a whole bunch of them. There's like a whole stack of them here.
All right. We got an inventory. So we got Carl Soderberg.
And the camera's over here, so we got to show this off.
We got Carl.
Big old Carl.
Even though he's gone, we still love him.
Yep.
Matt Calvert.
Little Maddie. Maddie's my favorite.
They have names on the back of all of them, and his is Bulldog.
Why is Bulldog?
So my mom absolutely loves Calvert. Just like took to him the minute he came, and for some reason decided to start calling him Bulldog because he just never stops fighting.
He doesn't.
Kind of hit her concept of the Bulldog, and I think we caught him like right towards the end of season and told him this, and he's like, "That's fitting. Like, I dig that."
Bulldog seems good.
So she has a jersey signed from the Bulldog.
Nice.
Yeah.
Pop your headphones on so you can hear, because I want to make sure that we can hear you. Because if you can hear you, then everybody can hear you.
I don't think I
That's
can.
much better. See, now we can hear you. Huh?
I can hear me.
Oh, here, I'll crank you up.
There we go.
Does that sound better? Can you hear us now?
Yeah.
There. I swear to God, we're going to get the hang of this thing one of these days.
It's whatever. And then we got Z.
Big Z.
Which he just has a bunch of Z's on the back. That was
Nice.
it.
That's easy to It's easy to figure off. A little store off. This is the one that Taylor Temby there mentioned in the piece that you guys had Cale Makar like ready for that first game.
We have two. So we each had one.
Yeah.
The other one is just like he's just
smiling.
Like he's just his more
normal.
His serious smile.
Now, has he actually seen this one?
Oh yeah.
What does he think of this one?
I think he was a little overwhelmed by them the first time he saw it because we brought him to one of the practices.
Right after.
Yeah,
After
right
game
after.
3.
We talked to him literally the next morning. And we were like, first of all, how are you feeling? Because he was obviously, the whirlwind that was that weekend. So he's like, oh, I'm all right. And then we were like, did you see your heads, by the way? And he was like, oh, yeah, they're pretty cool.
They're totally cool,
yeah,
right?
And his parents saw them, right?
That's what happened is my mom and I went over to the family section because we knew his parents were there. And we're like, we have to show him the head. And
So you actually went and sought out his parents and showed
we
him?
found him. But the best part of this is we're walking over, my mom and I look up and I make eye contact with this guy, and it's Pavel Francouz. And I'm like, it's Pavel.
Adrian's obsessed with Pavel.
Like-
just for the
freaking out.
record.
Like you guys could identify Pavel Francouz
So-
in the middle of
Totally makes contact with me, and I'm like, it's Pavel.
that dude would be shopping at King Supers, and I wouldn't be able to tell you what he looks like. But you could tell me what Pavel Francouz looks like.
And he's like, yeah, we're sitting next to Cale's parents. He's got Martine with him. And he's like, we'll just take you down. And he, like, looks at the usher and is like, they're with us. Don't worry about them. And Cale's parents were just, like, dying.
Yeah.
Like, when did you get these made? How did you do that? I was like, I literally did it 5 hours ago.
Not the sort of thing a college fan base does.
Yeah, and so they took a bunch of pictures with me and my mom in the head. We're like, we're sending these to him. He will see these. Like, and the whole family got, like, a group text, I guess, that they had throughout the night and just, like, shooting this text at the Cale heads.
And his says "All Hail Cale" on the back.
Nice. Nice.
And then we have the former Av.
Now I noticed that Tyson's a little folded up there.
So here's a good story
This
about
is
that.
Tyson Berry, by the way,
This
if you're
is a
listening to the
very good
podcast.
story about that. So we made an Instagram account for our Big Heads. It's called Big Heads Exploring, right? Is what the handle is. And we had different pictures of the heads doing various things. So we went mini golfing one night, went to Top Golf one night. And so I went to Disney World this summer with my parents. So this one was the perfect size to bring with us because I could put it in my backpack. I have a picture of me on Splash Mountain with the Tyson head. And he's just barely like peeking over the top of the seat because he can't put it up too far because I worked for Disney at one point and I know how they are with like safety stuff. They delete the picture and I was like, hey, I gotta have it in there, but not enough to get the picture deleted.
So you're hoping that the people at Splash Mountain just think it's just a big dude sitting
And like I didn't get it deleted, so I have the picture, I have the proof, it happened, and it was hilarious. Nice. So, but yeah, he had to be folded up in order to fit in my backpack.
What do you do with it? I mean, obviously it's sentimental. Do you hold on to it now?
I mean, when the Toronto's in town, he asked me to make him a bigger head, like straight up at Locker Clean Out it was May. He was like my only request for next season, which he obviously not like gotten traded yet, but he was like, he's like, I want a bigger head because Max is bigger than mine. And he's like,
just a little.
Oh,
that is huge.
He literally asked if Max's head was bigger than his because he's better than him. And I was like, yeah, Tyson, that's exactly what it is. Like, really? So I promised him to make him bigger head. So
I mean, in real life, McKinnon's head is probably bigger than
probably. Yeah, probably. But yeah, I mean, I told him I'd make him a bigger head, and I'm still going to do it. I mean,
very nice.
So he'll have two because I'll probably have the other one just so I can compare them and be like, it's bigger now. You happy? Because he asked me. So
I love it.
Yeah, the Nate one kind of went.
When you guys are at Kinko's, like, do they look at you like, what on earth are you doing?
So this was all me at the Castle Rock Staples or Office Depot. Rolled in one day, and this guy was there, and I was like, hey, I have a question. This is what I want to do. And he looked at me. I was like, why? It's like, because. Like, doesn't it sound fun? He's like, why? So I had to explain this again.
Because you can't do this by yourself. You can't just go to a copy machine and be like, I'm going to make this. Like, the self-service area does not make fatheads.
So the original, we did them for the last home game, fan appreciation night, all that jazz. And I think I did a Z,
we had like
Amico,
4 or 5 maybe?
The EJ, Tyson, and one more maybe. I think
Broussard. We did Broussard because my mom loves Derek Broussard and she asked for it specifically.
The Derek Broussard is in the piece.
Yep.
I remember seeing that one.
Yeah.
Because I was like, who is? Oh yeah, Brassy.
Yeah, she asked for it.
I had to play this whole game with figuring out how do you even do this. And the guy was printing like just regular 8x11 sheets with photos, and if it was too pixelated, he's like, no, we can't print it. And then it would come out on the sheet. It's like this big.
And you are stretching your hands out like all the way. Yeah.
My like 5'3" wingspan here.
Yeah, it's impressive, by the way. It's a good wingspan.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's decent, right?
Yeah.
I'd have to cut them out. So for Nate, for example, I'd cut out the full image and then put it onto poster board because it's just flimsy paper. Cut it out again. And then they would run it through a laminator and cut it out again. And I'm, like, sprawled out on the floor in Office Depot. And all these people are walking by like, ma'am, where's the printer paper? And I'm like, I don't actually work
They think
here.
that you work for Kinko's because you're sprawled out on the floor in the middle of Kinko's.
Yeah, and so it became this routine of we did them, and then we, made playoffs, and we're like, all right, we're going to do a few more. And I roll back in, and I forgot what it was like Ryan was his name or something. He's like, "Oh, you're back."
It was nice because he knew who she was. So it was easier after that.
And sort of. And then he actually left to go to like the Colorado Springs store.
Oh, go.
And so they're like, "Yeah, we think you scared him off." So then I think I spent like 3 hours one day there trying to get new ones.
Oh, here I thought you were going to say it. So then I drive down to Colorado Springs.
I debated. It would have been quicker.
It would have been faster.
So I had to explain it all over again, this whole process. And the like manager who, she saw me there multiple times. She's like, "Are you going to keep coming back and doing this?" I was like, "Probably."
Was it a nice, are you going to keep coming back and doing this?
Like can you stop? Because, it was just like stuff everywhere. I would bring my own tape in, so I would sit there, like the tape would just be like, "Ah!" And people would look at me, and I'm like, "Sorry," like, because the Office Depots are like weirdly quiet. It's like a library.
Yeah.
So you're in there like chilling, and then you hear me just like
the
with
tape.
And those are never quiet for some reason.
I had like a blister on my hand from my scissors at one point. Like all this crap that I was like, why am I still doing this?
Yeah, so that is the question. Why do it?
You know, the idea came from a Pepsi Vision video they'd done they were talking about fan signs, and they said somebody, I don't remember who it was, they said the big heads were really funny. And so we were like, well, let's do it. Like, why not? Like, that would be fun. And it just kind of blew up once we made playoffs because we were like, well, let's make a few more. And then Cale got signed, and we were like, let's make some Cale heads. And now it has an Instagram, and everybody knows about it. And it just kind of became a thing. And the players think it's really funny. Like, EJ, who never shows any emotion ever during warm-ups ever. Yeah. We saw him at practice one day. We had a bunch of them, and we were like, had literally taped them up on the railing so they could, like, because they saw all of them. And EJ was leaving, and he just gave us a big thumbs up. He's laughing about it, and he loved it. And they just thought it was fun. It just kind of became a thing after a while.
You guys seem to have a relationship with these guys more than your average fan, because I think a lot of people show up at the games, and a lot of people like see them and maybe get an autograph here or there, but like they actually know you.
I mean, Adrian and Z is hilarious to watch. Like, he is, oh my gosh, he's so sassy with Adrian. It's funny because it just kind of, once you start making a lot of signs and you meet them and they start to kind of get to know you, they become very familiar. Like, they know, like, Tyson Berry knows me by name and Z knows Adrian by name. Like, if you talked about either of us to either of them, they'd probably be like, oh yeah, I know who that is. And it's just kind of gone from there. I mean, Tyson literally made fun of me when he signed my last jersey. And so it literally says on it, to Taylor, you need another jersey. And then he signed it because I have like 5 Tyson Berry jerseys. So, wow. And I've made him sign every single one of them, and he did every single one of them.
Wow. It's impressive. And you have new ones.
I got his Toronto one. I promised him a long time ago. I told him if he ever got traded, I would buy the jersey for whatever team he got traded to. I made that deal a long time ago, and I was not going to break that, even though I was very upset when he got traded. Very sad.
It's very impressive.
Dedication.
You were very upset when he got traded. Upset enough that I remember specifically like sitting there on like a Saturday afternoon and logging into Twitter and seeing you tweet on the Go Avs Go hashtag, hey, if anybody's got a message for Tyson, I'm putting together a Shutterfly book. And I remember thinking, what?
Yeah. So I was so distraught. I really was. Like, he was my favorite player. I mean, he's just a great dude, and got to know him. And he's just kind of like, when I think of the Avs now, I think of Tyson Berry because it's just a lot of really good experiences. And he's been here forever. I mean, he was drafted 10 years ago by the Avs. He's had 8 seasons. I mean, it's been literally forever. He's just there. So my idea, I was driving to work one day and I was like, I just want to do something for him. Like, I feel like a lot of people just did not appreciate him enough. Throughout the years, he got a lot of really unwanted and unnecessary crap from people. So, and I knew there was a lot of people that were really upset about him leaving. And so I had decided, I was like, whoever wants to be a part of this, I don't care how big or small it is, I want to do this. Send me stories, pictures. I know a lot of people like drawings, paintings, whatever. Send it to me. I'm going to put it all together in a Shutterfly book, and I'm going to give it to him. So I did. I started this. It was like literally 3 days after he was traded or something. And I set the deadline like August 20th, I think is what it ended up being. And I had probably 15, 16-ish people send me stuff. I had a lot of random pictures that came my way from various things. I set up an email address just so it all went to one spot. And I finished it finally. Took a long time. And actually one of the guys that follows me on Twitter, Michael, I don't know how to say his last name, Gershive maybe?
Mhm.
He actually designed the cover for me.
I was going to say, that's a really, I wasn't sure if you grabbed that from like the NHL or something.
So it's based off of what the NHL had released for Brooks Orpik. I sent him this and I was like, hey, is this possible? Like, could you design something like this? And then I was shocked when it was like literally exactly how I had imagined it to be. So he did that, and I was very surprised at how awesome it turned out. But
it looks really cool. Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot of work put into this, but I mean, there's like stories in here. There's a really good one, about, it's literally one of the who's a big fan. It's about his stepdaughter and like kind of how Tyson Barrie is the reason why she likes hockey. She's like 5 years old, and she just randomly told him one day, Tyson Barrie's my favorite, and he has a picture of her in her little Tyson Barrie jersey, and it's so cute. And there's lots of different things. Lots of people that aren't even Avs fans that had sent me stuff about him. And there's a Caps fan in here, there's a Flyers fan in here. It's amazing like how big of an audience it reached. I put it on Tumblr as well because I needed to as many people as I could. It was on Instagram, like everything. So yeah, I mean it's a big project, but I'm really proud of it. I worked really hard on it. So.
Why devote so much time to something like that?
Honestly, like I'm a big fan of Tyson Barrie. I mean, he helped me through a lot of things personally, just kind of like by being who he is as like a person, as a hockey player. I mean, he's a very unique guy. I mean, we can all attest to that. If you watch Pepsi Vision at all during the season, you watch him freaking sing Celine Dion karaoke. Yeah. So, I mean, things like that, it's just, he did make an impact. And I think there's a lot of people that agree with me on that. And that's kind of where it all came about. So
I think we've seen a lot of people leave this team over the years and then come back and get those big, grandiose, salutes when they come back to Pepsi Center.
Yeah.
I have a feeling his is going to be different than everybody else's.
Oh, it's going to be, because I don't think Matt Duchene was kind of like, everybody had bad taste in their mouth, so I don't think they made it very big. I mean, he didn't get a video. They just said, oh, thank you, Matt Duchene, whatever. But with Tyson, I can just
picture Alan Roach saying that. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Matt Duchene. Yeah, whatever.
Exactly. It's fine. Tyson it's going to be, I know it'll be a different story. Because, I mean, even Ian Cole said that. He was like, it's when he comes back, it's going to be crazy. So it'll be a very bittersweet thing. I'm excited for him to come back, but I'm going to bawl my eyes out when he does. So, and I will be wearing my only jersey I have that's not an Avalanche jersey. I will be wearing my Leafs jersey that night. It's the one night I get to cheer him on. So
I was going to say, when he's in the Leafs jersey and you're in the Leafs jersey, like, are you rooting for them not to win?
I mean, I'm rooting for him to score 100%. I want him to score so bad with his slap shot from the point. I think it'll just be like perfect. But of course, I mean, the Avs got to win. We need all the points so we can get in the playoffs. You know how that goes.
I know that goes.
They're still my team. He's my favorite player, but they're still my team.
Yeah. There may have been a few times when my former team was playing the Avs, and I may have been in that building in a different colored jersey, and I may have still gotten excited when the Avs scored because I knew they needed the points, and frankly, my old team didn't really need the points because they sucked anyway at that point.
I mean, I'll be cheering very loudly for him if he scores, that's for sure. But I'll be still wearing other Avs stuff. I'll just have his jersey on.
Yeah.
A good Tyson Detroit story for you. One of my best friends is a Detroit Red Wings fan. But loves Tyson.
And how can you be best friends with someone like that?
I just tolerated it,
right? Yeah.
Oh, good old Patrick.
Yeah.
So I took a photo one day of Tyson to practice. I was like, "Hey, can you sign this for me? It's for a friend." He's like, "Yeah, what's her name?" And I was like, "Well, it's Patrick, but I need you to write something on it." He's like, "Okay, what?" It's like, "Red Wings suck." And Tyson looks at me and goes, "Can I write stinks? Like, sucks is kind of harsh." And I was like, "Tyson."
Oh my God.
Really?
That's one of the most Canadian things I've ever heard.
I was like, "No, Tyson, you're not allowed to do that." And the poor guy's like, "Okay." Signs it, and we get this to Patrick, and Tyson's aware of all this. And I think a few weeks later, Patrick was in town, my friend, and he has a Detroit Red Wings wallet. And he's like, "Tyson, will you sign this?" And Tyson just looked at him and was like, "No, I won't." And
the
just
Red
kind
Wings
of walked
stink.
off, and then was like, "Just kidding, I'll sign it." Really, Tyson?
He just seems like a really
He's
really
just
nice
a
guy.
nice guy. I would come to practice. The day I got this jersey signed, oh my gosh, I had so many things from signed that day. I made him a sign the day we played the Knights. It said, "It's a very good night. to break another franchise record. He'd already gotten the points and the assists, and we were waiting on the goals. So he scored that night, and he broke the franchise record, and I was like, oh, yeah.
You brought
Thank
the right
you.
sign.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I brought it to practice, and I had, like, check boxes next to each of the things, and I was like, all right, you get to check your final box. He was so stoked. He, like, checked it, signed it, and I was like, good job. And I had, like, 5 other things for him to sign. He signed every single one of them. Like, that's just what he does. He's just a super nice guy. And once you get to know him and he knows who you are, I mean, anytime I asked him to come out and sign, if he knew he would come out. Like, it just did. So talked to him a lot, got to know him pretty well, and he's definitely going to be missed by me for sure.
Yeah.
So, but
he's going to be missed by, I think, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he will be. And there's a few select people that are happy he's gone. And to them, I'm like, boo you, whatever.
Yeah. There were a couple people.
Dumb.
There were a couple people sitting behind me when we played the Leafs last year, who were like just taunting him all the time because they were Leafs fans. And I remember thinking, like,
oh, the irony.
when the trade went down, I remember thinking, well, that's pretty sweet. Like, I hope they enjoy this. You know what? But,
well, yeah. I mean, the Leafs fans like to pick on one defenseman and like just treat him like crap. Like Jake Gardiner, he got booed after Carl Soderberg signed the hat trick. He scored that hat trick. Every game after that, the Leafs fans would literally boo Jake Gardiner.
Really?
That's what they did and literally until playoffs. They did that every single home game. And I wouldn't be surprised if Tyson ends up doing that because he's a very high risk, high reward kind of player, and that's how Jake Gardiner is too. Yeah. So
we were in the building that night of the Carl Soderberg hat trick.
Fun game.
Yeah, that was
amazing.
Like, that was the one game on the entire road trip. So Jeff and I went to Canada.
Oh, that Canadian road trip.
It was awesome.
Spectacular.
It was everything you'd hope it would be. It was Montreal, Toronto, and Ottawa. Toronto was the only game that they won.
Yeah.
That was the start of their collapse.
I remember
mid-season.
that, don't worry.
But let me tell you, like, when they beat them inside that building, one of the things that I was amazed by was all the people that walked by us at the end of the night. They were just like, hey, good game. Mm-hmm. Which it wasn't like there wasn't bad blood or anything like that. It was really cool. That's
interesting. They're interesting. They're a very interesting fan base. They're very passionate, but they can be brutal sometimes.
That's where hockey's from.
So,
you know?
yeah, I mean, I just want them to treat my favorite player well. That's all I ask.
Yeah.
If they boo him, I will boo their players in return.
There you go. We'll just boo them anyway.
Except for Tyson.
And
Kerfoot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting
Poor Kerf.
It's such a bummer, too.
Oh, I know. Oh, my gosh. We were like, really, Kerf, too? Like, seriously? You got to split up the roomies? You split up the best bromance in the entire NHL, and then you split up the roommates, too? Come on. Really?
It's pretty sad.
It was very sad.
It's pretty sad. How did each of you guys get into hockey?
I grew up an Avs fan. I vaguely remember it. I was really little, but I remember the 2001 Cup. I remember my mom had actually like recorded on VHS, and I remember watching it later.
Oh,
I was laying on my parents' bedroom floor, and I was watching it. But I mean, I've always grown up with hockey around my brother. My big brother was a really big hockey fan, so it helped. Maybe it was more so Broncos when I was growing up. But I mean, I went to a handful of Avs games. We always went to the Wild when they played the Wild for some reason. I'd never seen them play another team until last season. It was always the Wild. I don't know why.
And then you guys are you a season ticket holder? Or
I am now, yeah.
Yeah. Where are you?
I'm in 102.
Big shot.
That was like it was part of it. That was supposed to be my graduation present. Oh, yeah.
My God, 102?
Yeah, that's my favorite section. And it was my graduation present anyway. So even though I haven't graduated yet, it was a little bit early. But.
Are you a member of that, the highfalutin club? That,
no,
you're
the
not part
Club
of that
Lexus,
thing?
no.
Oh, yeah.
No.
We got in there one time. Or I got in there one time.
It's a trip.
Because they actually, I remember, because Kyle Clark gave us this thing that he picked up at his like dealership or something. It was like, here's the Lexus Club pass. We're like, awesome, we get to go to the Lexus Club. So we went to the actual place, and I remember they were like, "Do you have your tickets?" And I was like, "But no, we have this Lexus Club pass.
Yes, you
like,
do.
let
now
us
where are
in."
your tickets?
And they were like, "No, we need to see your tickets." And they were like, "I'm sorry, you're peons because you're in the 300 level.
Yeah,
we can't let you in." And then finally, somebody had a 100 level seat, so I was like, "Oh, let's try this again." We got in, and it's
crazy,
it's spectacular.
Yeah, that second time where you actually got in was one of the few games I didn't get to. So I've heard stories. It sounds wonderful.
So
weird.
There's another guy at the station who had the 100 level seats. It was like free beer, and
there's really good food. I've been down
prime
there
rib.
once.
It was
crazy down there.
Unreal. It was so much different than standing in line for one of the closed concession stands upstairs where we are.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if like down in 102 you're probably not used to this, but most of the concession stands are closed most of the time upstairs.
Yeah.
Where we're at what 326 is our section.
Except up there, there's the soft serve. They don't have that in the 100s. There's soft serve ice cream up there. I've literally gone up there during intermission to get the soft serve.
Impressive. I don't know where that is.
It's like it's outside of like 342, I think is what it is, or something. It's like somewhere around there.
All right, because outside of 326 is just a hot dog stand that's open maybe
half the time,
20 games a year.
I mean, it doesn't. It's Pepsi's got to change their food. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
It's not that great, but it's okay. The soft serve is fantastic.
They could use better beer, but well,
I mean,
that's a whole different podcast. I'll talk about. What about you, Adrian? What's your hockey story?
So I'm a military brat. So I'm from Colorado, but grew up mostly outside of Colorado. But my uncle is like a huge Denver sports fan, and so as a kid, when I was back, we'd actually go to family sports. Back like heydays.
Like when, like for practice.
Yeah, watch practice and then skate afterwards. And my mom remembers, because we lived in Japan when they won the 2001 Cup. She remembers like having it on her like radio that she had somehow figured out how to get this American channel to come in to give us that.
So
and,
you were like a 1950s family all gathered around the radio in the family room.
But when we moved back here after my dad retired, it kind of, now that we had access, it was like, oh, this is fun. But I've seen them play out in Washington, LA, everywhere I've been. I've kind of been able to get some games in and
that's
kind of
cool.
see like the rage towards everyone else.
Oh, and you get to see like the other buildings too, which is kind of fun, and like you see what hock's like in different parts.
Yeah,
of the
and
world.
I mean, I spent about 7 years in DC, so when the Caps won, it was kind of actually like my second team. So it was kind of a cool like, oh, that's awesome. Like I like this feeling. I'm like, okay, our turn now. Like I want this back
Let's do
here.
This here, please. That would be wonderful.
So that was a fun, and I have a lot of friends that are Caps fans, so they were all super pumped about it and kind of had this like, you'll get there, you'll have it again. Like, okay, you have one. Calm down.
Simmer down, Simba.
Simmer down. Hopes for this year?
Honestly, I really don't know what to think about this year.
You think this could be a cup year?
No.
No.
I don't think we're there yet. I really don't, because we just have so many pieces that are very like, we'll see. Like they've got so much potential, but we really don't know how it's going to go. I mean, like Andre Burakovsky, he's a big one. We don't know how well he's actually going to play. There's so much potential. He's been buried in the cap system for a long time. But I don't know. Jost is the same way. And we don't know what we're really going to get out of Makar for an entire season.
You don't know what you're going to get out of Kadri either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I have a little bit less worry about Kadri because one down season and he's playing behind John Tavares and Austin Matthews. I would too. Seriously, it's like you can only get so many goals, only so many can go around. So I'm not as worried about him. I mean, Gruby, he's never been a starter, like a full-time starter. So we don't really know how that's going to go. I mean, obviously he's fantastic, but he did just go really hot right before the playoffs and in the playoffs. We don't know how he's going to do throughout the full season.
But you have Francouz to back him up.
I mean, he's fantastic.
Yes, you are. So where does the fandom of Pavel Francouz come from?
So I actually studied, I did my master's half in the Czech Republic. So I'm like really pro all the Czech guys.
So he's Czech.
Do it.
Yeah.
I should have probably have looked that up. I always assumed he was.
You should have known.
I should have assumed that he was French because with a name like Francouz.
Him and Martin Kaut are both Czech. So when we ran into them at the Pepsi Center, and after I kind of like composed myself of being like, hey, it's Pavel over and over again, to the point where he was like, yes, it's Pavel and Martin. And I'm like, but it's Pavel.
It's literally all that mattered.
I was like, perfect.
It's Martin too. We should take note of that.
Yeah, he was like trying to like wingman him, like, hey, he's here too, like give him love. And I was like, no. Yeah, we talked about it, and they were super cool. They're like, you don't meet a lot of people that go to the Czech Republic, let alone live there. And they're both funny. They're like, did you learn any Czech? I was like, no, it's a pointless language. And they both laughed at me and were like, yeah, you're right.
Nice.
But they really enjoyed that, and kind of that someone had experienced where they're from and kind of had that connection. So, and My other favorite one that they give me crap for is I love Pasternak, and he's Czech as well.
A Bruin.
Just my favorite. I'm like on the Czech like official hockey webpage, like sitting there with like a Pavel Czech jersey and a Pasta one like in my cart, like sitting there debating it. I'm like, do I buy it?
Don't do it.
Do I not?
Don't do it.
She can do the Czech one all she wants. Just don't buy a Boston jersey. That's
it's not
ew.
worth it.
It's one thing having a Leafs jersey. Yeah. It's another having a Boston jersey.
But the Czech ones are like, so it's really funny. The Czech conversion rate is absurd.
So the alarms are going off. Don't mind us. Once again, our cameras are doing this to us, Geoff. Oh yeah, it sounds great.
So the jersey shows up as like 5,000 plus like Czech korunas, but it's like $150 for like their official like sponsor included.
Gosh,
logo
I feel
one.
so
And
ignorant. That's their money is korunas.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
I didn't know that
I would
either,
never
so-
have known that.
I just know a lot.
Got to study.
Yes,
Beer's
I know.
cheaper than water there too.
That's well, that is a wonderful thing.
And now I love the Czech Republic.
Totally down for
And
that.
hockey
Might as
games
well
are really
go.
vicious. They like have full up SWAT teams out
With
after
like
'em, like ready to go. It's like soccer. They treat it like soccer. Like they're super into the hockey there. And one of my professors was like, "Oh, you like hockey? You should go to a game." And then he like at the end of class was like, "I thought about it, and you shouldn't go to a game because I want to see you in class next week." Like, so yeah, I was like on the bus home one day, and I was like, "What is going on here?" And this Czech guy next to me was like, "Oh, the hockey game just got out. Don't worry about it."
Don't worry.
God,
All
crazy.
right.
All right, guys, thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate it. That loud, annoying tone that's coming out of the camera right now. That would be the sound that tells us, I guess, we need to get this show over with.
Either you rap or I will just
Because we're
stop.
running out of tape in the cameras.
Taylor and Adrian have talked too long, and we're done with
No,
it
it's
now.
okay. So we could see you guys anytime you want to go warm ups or like to the warm ups when you can get down in front of Pepsi Center.
We're
You guys
always
there?
on the intermission show with Mark Rycroft and John Michael Isles, so we'll be there.
Oh my God, you have the big Z wrecking ball.
That was the one that started it all with Adrian Sainz.
I remember that. That was good.
And this is his like absolute. I don't know why this is his favorite, but this is the first one I made move. And he was like, "How did you do that?"
How does
I
it
was
move?
like,
Show me how it moves.
So it's got a whole contraption.
Oh,
in
she's
the back,
literally like so complicated on these signs.
And it like.
It's fantastic.
It's impressive. Very
So
impressive.
yeah, this one was the we were playing the Knights another night, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know what to do." I was talking to him about practice. He's like, "You already have the sign. What are you talking about?" So I had like a giant like back by popular demand thing that I had posted on it, and he was like, "Okay," like I wasn't that sassy about it.
Oh, he was. I can confirm that. And then there's this one. This one's coming back for the Calgary game.
Nice. That'll be the first game of the season.
Flames are red, Avs are blue. Time to take out the trash. Kachuk, I'm talking about you.
Nice.
It's very popular.
Nice.
So yeah.
Thank you guys both so much. Yeah. We'll take a break and be right back.
In one trendy Denver neighborhood, right next to a golf course, we find an old home almost hidden in plain sight.
He's been missing for more than a year.
Inside, a 69-year-old man
Basically disappeared.
so removed from life and people, nobody knew he vanished.
Well, there's no way he was there when we searched
After
him.
unsanitary conditions hindered their investigation. More after the coroner's report.
Who's to blame? How does a man become
He was found in his own
Inside
home.
lost at home? Check out the entire second season of Blame wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome back. We figured it would be a good idea to go through feedback. By the way, Taylor and Adrian still with us.
Here.
Some feedback that we've received from, believe it or not, we've got feedback.
This is amazing.
This is crazy. So Donna
and
wrote
it's
in.
not people we paid.
I know, believe it or not, people actually listen to the podcast.
The people we paid haven't come through yet.
Donna wrote in, and Donna said, enjoyed listening to the third episode today. And she says to me, third episode, by the way, the episode where I explained how I got on this crazy road to becoming an Avalanche fan. She said, glad you came to the light side, which is very fitting since we used a lot of Darth Vader in that podcast.
Well, I mean, yeah,
last
because
week.
the Red Wings are evil. Duh.
Well, that and the cable companies are evil for
Oh, yeah, that too.
blocking.
That too.
But, don't let... I realize that they're going to totally be negotiating with 9 News at some point, so I hope they don't go back and use that against us.
Oh, man.
We'll find out.
When we go off the air, it's Steve's fault.
We'll find out. Someone named Landy wrote in.
Oh.
Do you know Landy? At Mr. Avalanche Hawk 1. Do you know Mr. Avalanche
no,
Hawk 1?
I don't.
Landy wrote in to say, you should take your worthless, gap-toothed, high school-looking transplant A back, and he didn't say A. He actually put the SS after it as well. Back to Detroit. Go hang out with Eminem and stop ruining Colorado. Hashtag I hate transplants.
Wow.
I mean...
Somebody's bitter.
I mean, on the list of issues with Colorado, you're barely top 10. I think that's a little blown out of proportion.
I'm at least in the top 25, though.
It's very bitter, man.
I love that Jeff earlier today gave the reminder that actually the Avalanche are transplants to the state of Colorado as well. They're originally from somewhere else too, as are most of the players.
Wow, yeah, literally everybody is from somewhere else. There is not a single Av that's from Colorado.
No, there really isn't.
So, what's your point, bro?
I think all time there's only been probably, 2 or 3?
Yeah.
I mean, and I guess, are you guys both natives?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're both transplants on this side. Although Jeff is just barely a transplant. He's been here since, 3?
5.
5.
You you toe that line.
Get that
Sneak in.
status.
Yeah.
Qualified, yeah.
Pseudo-native.
So, and also this guy thought I'm cool enough that I know Eminem, which is pretty awesome. Like, I come from about maybe 11 or 12 miles north of 8 Mile.
I would imagine if you knew Eminem, we would probably have a nicer studio to record this in.
Yes. We would have.
That would be the first thing we would have swung that.
We wouldn't have to unplug Adrian's mic for me to play this music. So, as always, thank you for your feedback.
I reviewed the podcast too on iTunes.
Oh, you did?
Just for the record.
You reviewed the podcast?
I did. I did it for you guys. I did. I gave you 5 stars.
You're awesome.
And I told you how fantastic it was, so it's on there.
I reviewed the podcast too and gave it 5 stars.
I love it.
And said, this is totally not Steve.
Oh my god.
But that guy rules. This is a good chance.
That's why you're in the top 25.
We haven't done the annoying podcast people thing yet to be like, make sure you leave us a rating on iTunes and Spotify.
Rate, review, and subscribe.
Because I'm kind of afraid what people would put if we asked them to.
Yeah, me too.
So guys, rate, review, and subscribe.
Rate, review, and subscribe. And then, you can also send us an email, cheapseats@9news.com, or you can get at the show on Twitter. It's @9cheapseats. You are at...
I am Taylor_Ray_33.
Underscore, and it's RAE, right?
Yes.
All right, and Adrian, you are?
At Guffychan, GUFFYCHAN.
At Guffychan. Oh, so it's not like Chan, like the 8 Chans or anything? No, just Chan.
I pronounced it incorrectly, until now.
What does Guffychan mean?
So it's my childhood nickname is the Guffy. I used to call a goofy golf Guffy Golf. And then Chan is child in Japanese.
Ah, very nice. It explains it. I'm at Steve Staeger, which is what they used to call me when I was born. That's at STEVESTAEGER. He's at fake_Dante on Twitter. By the way, as we play the close here, we never got a chance to talk about Pierre Maguire.
Oh, Pierre.
I feel like that's a whole show topic.
I feel like it is too.
For a Sidney Crosby related podcast.
Yeah. Perhaps it's the best that I play it with 45 seconds left to go in the podcast. We love you, Pierre. You're part of the NBC family.
You're a nice dude,
but he got demoted. He's going to be on a different broadcast team, not with Doc and Edzo. So, hey, get at us. Let us know if you're fans. You want to come and hang out with us in the podcast, like Taylor and Adrian did today. Send us an email. Get at us on Twitter. Let us know. Lots to talk about. Training camp is starting soon.
The never-ending Rantanen saga.
We're getting close to hockey, folks. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of Steve Staeger and Geoff Sawtell, who have absolutely no business covering sports at all. They're just fans. You can tell them how wrong they are by tweeting at the show at 9cheapseats or email cheapseats@9news.com.